Wait, so it's on top of the glass, it's
just
like
placed on
planking
top of it.
on top of the glass.
It is planking on top of the glass as this man pours the drink for her, and I'm like,
oh, and it's being poured onto the bacon, and then the liquid.
No, the bacon is just there, but it's being poured.
I
into
was
the glass
starting to
with
think
nice...
that the bacon was like a distiller in this drink, like like it was being seeped through the bacon to absorb its flavor.
It's just a weird. Like,
oh man,
thing. It's like the cucumber. It's like just like in a Bloody Mary. It's just there.
Yeah,
and it offends me.
I mean, I can see it going with certain drinks. Like I've had a steak wrapped in bacon, and that pairs well with a wine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But I wouldn't dip it in the wine. That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm being real sloppy, then I might have both in my mouth at the same time. But
oh my god!
But I wouldn't pretend like they're Oreos and milk, you know.
Oh my god! Anyway, what is up, internet? It's your boys Brando and Christopher House.
Yo.
Welcome to the Otaku Remix Podcast, where we talk about bacon, schlipping, and all this other...
Not schlipping, slopping. There's a big difference. Schlipping is giving it to somebody.
Yeah, well...
Where being sloppy is my own term that I just...
Yeah. All right. What are we talking about? I have a few things I was going to mention today. Thankfully, we have content to discuss. So, would you like to open, though, since you're being so sloppy with
our intros? Yeah, sure. I'll start with a return to a show that I talked about, I think, 2 podcasts ago.
Is the I.D Invaded?
Yeah, I.D Invaded.
Is it I.D or I thought it was I.D?
It has to be
I.D, aren't they?
It has to be I.D because it's a reference to the id.
Okay.
The Freudian concept. Because it is about people going into the subconscious of serial killers, and like kind of exploring their ids, if you would, or at least it starts that way, and so apparently this whole series has been getting the Full Metal Alchemist treatment, where it has a manga, but it was not finished as the show was being produced. So the show has derided into a completely different topic.
Yes.
So, and it kind of shows. I finished it. The show's pacing is whack as fuck. It really
glowing endorsement.
I mean, here's the thing: that first episode is stellar in like showing you a premise that's interesting. But it's very clear that the only interesting character of the cast is the protagonist. But then the show doesn't focus on him for like half of the series until like episode 8, when he gets the end of his arc. But he's only had like 3 other episodes throughout the series up until that point. And it's this really big emotional climax that you would expect from like a end of a the climax of a 12 episode character arc. But really for him it's only been like 3, and it's really not well set up, and it's really well executed. And what was interesting to see is that somebody else in a Discord that I am in was telling me that they were going to start watching it because they got a reference from Gigalick or something, I forget. And I was like, I don't know, man. I saw those first 3 episodes, and that first episode's great, but by the 3rd, I have a feeling it's just going to peter out. I'm going to finish it for, this content that we're producing. But I was like, you don't want to waste your time. And he's like, I don't really feel it either. And then he got to that 8th episode, and he's like, oh man, it's really good. And you don't know what you're talking about. And then he got to the 12th, and he's like, I kind of want my time back. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, come on, man.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
I love being right about these things.
It'd be like that.
But it does suck because it is an interesting concept, and the show just kind of falls apart. I would say I was going to say it falls apart, but you know what? It was never structurally sound to begin with. So how can you fall apart when you were never together in the first place?
Yeah. It reminds me, not exactly, this is a loose connection, but our friend Alex, he just finished watching Megalobox for the first time.
Oh dear, that show.
he had warnings from one of our other friends, Andrew, to not watch it. He's like, don't fucking waste your time. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Megalobox is fun. And he's just like, it has one of the most disappointing endings, as he told him. And Alex was like torn because, he wanted to join the hype train, but also like hearing this stern warning. But he went through it. And then now that he's finished, he's like, fuck this ending. He's like, everything up until the last 2 episodes, whatever it was, great. Yeah. And then he's like, I don't know if I feel like I wasted my time or not.
I mean, at the very minimum, at least Megaloboxing's production kept up to par. And at least its character story is at least decent. I.D Invaded is much worse than Megaloboxing, in my opinion. I think its pacing is a mess. It's styled in that it's established in the first episode quickly devolves. And there's hints of it in that 8th episode.
Yeah.
But because the style is so character centric in that first episode, the fact that character kind of isn't important in the later episodes makes the rest of the theming kind of wonky. He still exists, but he doesn't. It's just like, it's so up its own ass, and it's so overly convoluted that to the point of like, I know what's going on, but I don't know the exact details because I don't care to focus on them enough because the story is just not gripping you enough.
Political pseudoscience.
That being said, because I hope nobody watches this, I am going to say one thing that made me pause the show and leave it for a bit. There is a serial killer early on that he's called the Perforator.
The Perforator.
And what he does is he drills holes into people's heads, hoping that somebody will survive like he did, so he has a hole in his head.
Okay.
And so they later on in the series they find a person who has a hole in their head, and they're trying to, like, the police are trying to take shots at him, and they're missing all their shots, and one of the bullets literally goes through the hole in his head.
I like it.
And it's just such a, like, for an anime that's trying to be so like serious and Freudian, like and like
really
police detective-esque.
Can't be shot right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something I would expect from like High School of the Dead or something like that, you know?
I feel like the very Matrix vibe you're kind of describing, like something that like wants to aspire to like high philosophical fucking themes, and then like you have like these really kung fu-y like Matrix.
The
like,
later Matrix movies,
backs.
absolutely, yeah. Because the first Matrix movie was able to like toe the line because it was, I don't want to say subtle about its overtones, but it was like, you know, it wasn't spending scenes talking about it. You know, it would spend scenes talking about the rules of the world and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be like so overly convoluted about its Freudian thematic structuring and stuff like that. Whereas the later two films, especially the third one, like it, you know, that's actually a good comparison. This show reminds me of the third Matrix movie. So, depending on how you felt about that movie, that's my recommendation for I.D Invaded.
Well, it's for somebody.
It's for somebody.
Well, moving on. One thing I wanted to mention is you've heard about the Demon Slayer movie, like The Success.
Yeah. Well, you told me about The Success.
Yeah. It's been like having meteoric success or whatever you want to call it, whatever descriptor, adjective you want to describe it.
It's a river in a dry land, man. It is,
but it is
the only thing out there.
in Japan, yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's doing really well, though. I was just looking at the numbers today, just kind of for funsies, and I saw that it's now crossed 27.5 billion yen, which I'm sure is only, 260, I think, some yen or $1 million. I don't know. But it has officially capsized James Cameron's Titanic to take the number 2 all time in Japanese domestic box office.
Yeah, I was about to say Japanese, not worldwide.
No, yeah. You're like hold up, Brenda.
Hold the fuck on.
Hold the fuck up.
Buffalo testicle eating man. Are you telling me?
You know that is also now the 5th highest grossing film of the year.
Yeah,
displacing Robert Downey Jr.'s classic remake of Doolittle.
Yeah. Oh my God, that came out. The movie industry is so fucked right now.
But yeah, that movie
Yeah.
It's supposed to come stateside, like in early next year. Like Funimation and Aniplex America said they were going to bring it to screens in America, and I'm like, oh really? Please do, because there is nothing.
Well, I mean, yeah,
playing on theaters right now.
I mean, they can release it whenever the hell they want because anime fans. There's no like marketing involved that will not stop them from showing up.
Let me tell you right now, those anime movie theaters were they're pretty COVID safe even before COVID. They weren't exactly. People should,
I trust the Japanese not to get each other sick at this point. I do not trust my fellow American.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially
they were already
fans.
Ready.
Yeah, they weren't showering to begin with. My God. You expect them to show up in masks and shit? Fuck.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
but yeah, in other movie news,
freaking
though,
AMC.
did you see the My Hero stuff?
No. What is the My Hero stuff? Are they getting a third movie?
They are. They are the third. God. They had like the Twitter account for My Hero Academia, the Japanese one, for the official anime one, had like a bunch of posts that were like phrases that combined to make the phrase "He will meet the Three Musketeers," along with key visuals that combine the phrase as well.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, yes. Cyberpunk 2077, Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
John Wick, the one and only.
Keanu Reeves
is going to be in My Hero. He's in the dub. He's the new All Might.
No. I feel like he would just be himself.
He'd just play himself as a superhero.
He'd be like John Wick. He'd be like a superpower is I don't even know what it is.
I'd expect like a Joseph Joestar like reaction to him, like holy shit though.
Yeah, exactly.
Keanu
Reeves. He played a Ronin or samurai or whatever in that mediocre
47
movie.
Ronin, very classic.
God damn it. See, you can do the accent. I can't do the accent.
Oh my God. It was so good. Anyway, that movie was terrible. But anyway, that movie was announced the third.
Speaking of terrible movies, we're going to get another My Hero Academia movie.
Yeah.
To be fair, you said the first one was good. We reviewed the second one. You can catch that with our buddies.
The first one was solid. It wasn't like exceptional. But
yeah,
like,
but
it doesn't offend.
Yeah.
Same thing with the second one, in my opinion. The second one doesn't offend either. I just feel like,
but it doesn't. The second one doesn't have any All Might, and that's like the big downer. Is like
it's like par for the course, in my opinion. It's like it does what a shonen active anime series movie does. It's like you can't really stretch your wings too far because of like canon reasons and marketing reasons, and the fact that you literally can't. But so you can't have permanent stakes, is what I mean to say. Obviously,
no,
so
I get
that,
you.
That whole show and tell with Bakugo getting, the twist at the end of that movie. I don't really care about spoiling it at this point, but it's like it really can't do too much. So we'll see if they can be more creative with what they're doing with this next film. I'm not at this like point, holding my breath.
Where My Hero sits, it's just gonna be a continuous thing. Like it's gonna be like One Piece. It's gonna be like Dragon Ball. It's just gonna keep existing. For me,
it'll be a fun ride.
That is really detrimental to my experience because it means that characters are just gonna pop up and pop out of existence. Whereas the main cast will, like Deku and Bakugo and maybe Gravity Girl, I don't know, she's kind of fallen out of main character status, if she ever had it. But like, they're gonna continue being who they are, and they're gonna like change in very minor ways, if at all. And then the rest of the cast is just gonna keep rotating. And to be honest, that gets really tiring for me personally.
That's okay. I mean,
it works for like comedies and stuff like that where I don't really care about what's going on. But I don't know, for some reason with these sorts of action shows and like shows with dramatic elements, I'd prefer to have like a vested interest in the actions that are going on. And shonen like sitcoms can never change too much, or else they lose what they are. So
yeah, no, right. I feel you. Well, we'll see how much they can evolve over time. And I mean, it's supposed to come out next summer. There's no hard release date set, but I mean, the release window makes a lot of sense because, season 5 is supposed to be next spring, so it'll just lead right into it naturally. So
yeah,
we'll see I know that we are probably not going to get into the business of theorizing or thoughts. We already kind of shared some thoughts, but if anybody else has any thoughts or any theories or anything, expectations, because we don't have much, feel free to shut them out below.
Can't promise that I'll look at it.
I'll look at it.
Brando will look at it.
Brando will look at it. Have you ever read or watched D and Angel?
No, I have no idea what that is.
Okay, that is a long-time sort of like fan favorite shoujo manga that was popular in the mid-2000s because of an anime that came out in like 2003. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's finally ending. The manga started when One Piece started, like 1997.
Okay.
And 23 years later, it is finally finishing. Granted, it had a very long... It started publication in 97. They just announced this because like on Kadakawa, they were like, oh, the new issue 2021, January... Monthly Asuka is like, finally you get to see the end of D and Angel, boys and girls and whoever the hell else is interested. And I'm like, oh, finally. I'm not really vested interested in it. It's not really something I'm super into, but I know a lot of people that are into D and Angel, so I feel like it's worth mentioning.
So the fact that you looked at that headline and went, ooh, finally, despite not having a vested interest in it, makes it sound like you just wanted to stop hearing about D and Angel.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know per se, but it's like, look, I only have like a very passing interest. Like I would watch it occasionally in high school on the Funimation channel, but I just thought it was over because it like doesn't really have the bones for what would seem to be a very long story. Like it started in 97, the manga. Now 23 years later, just finishing up. But granted, there was like a 3-year hiatus between 05 and 08 for the mangaka.
Was it like in
Sugisaki? Was
the plot an ongoing like ever moving goalpost like Ruby's is?
Yeah, kind of. Not really. It's a lover's quarrel. Not lover's quarrel. It's like a okay. So the premise is basically this dude, Daisuke. He has feelings for this girl named Risa, and he confesses to her, and on his like 14th or 15th birthday, I forget what it was, and she's like, no, she rejects him hard body, and he gets all beat up about it, and then but when he thinks about her for long periods of time or gets emotional about her, he transforms into this alter ego, this legendary phantom thief known as Dark Mousy. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that right, but I don't give a fuck.
Recognize the name. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, he and then she falls in love with his alter ego and blah 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 blah, and it goes on for a fair long time. And the transformation is related to his DNA and some other horse shit. And
I mean, I can see something sappy like that going on for a while. Soap operas have always existed.
But 23
and honestly,
years,
I'm not surprised. I'm honestly surprised that more anime have not been able to corner that market yet. Then again, I think it's just so male centric that what I'm trying to get at here, I really do think there could be a market for that, and clearly D and Angel had that for as long as it did.
I mean, it still did. I mean, getting back and all this stuff. I don't know how much was very active because I know that after the 08 return from the hiatus, like Sugisaki never came around to formally conclude the story. Obviously, until now.
God damn it! Did he get lost to Love Live as well?
I don't know.
Just as they got Berserk author.
They left it out with Vivi. I don't know what happened.
Or was it WoW? I forget which the Berserk author got lost in.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, don't blame him.
It was either Love Live or WoW. One of those two evils. I don't know which. Maybe both.
Oh my god.
But anyway.
But yeah. I mean, talk about more relevant manga. Not like ancient forever manga, but sure. I know you don't read too much.
No, I'm basically illiterate.
Yeah, I know. I mean, how else did you get your education? But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So there's these yearly manga award, the Shogakukan. About a tongue twist myself. Shogakukan Manga Awards, which is basically like manga of the year situation stuff.
Neat.
So it's the 66th annual. Jeez, I can't talk. Annual this year.
Yeah. And
they just announced their list of nominees earlier today or yesterday. I can't remember. The last day or so. As of this recording, and they're going to announce their winners on January 19th, and the winners usually get this sweet bronze statuette, and they get 1,000,000 yen, which is like roughly like $9,500, something like that.
It's about 10,000.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, bragging rights forever. But I'm specifically interested in Best Shonen. Obviously, the 3 nominees this year are Teasing Master Takagi-san.
Okay.
Which has a full season, I think, on Netflix already.
Yeah, it does.
Burning Kabaddi. Kabaddi. The reason I spell it out is because that is a sport. It's a full contact sport that they play mostly in the Middle East. that has an anime
Hey man,
coming out next year,
I can see it.
a very successful manga thus far, which looks pretty cool. Honestly,
I mean,
it's a really weird sport.
Freaking SNK getting their majority shares being bought out by a Middle Eastern.
Yeah. I saw the Saudi Arabian people bought a majority share in SNK too.
We're becoming, as much as Alex Jones will hate to admit it, we're becoming a globalist economy, more or less.
Perhaps.
we have to recognize the Middle East at some point.
I know. I mean, I guess.
But that is great. Like, because you always see stuff about, basketball, baseball, not so much basketball, but baseball, all the sports
basketball's got a decent amount
become
right now.
Popular throughout the world. But yeah, you don't really see much from the Middle East, so that's cool.
Yeah, this sport is funky. You Google it, watch some footage. I know you probably won't, but if you look up Kabaddi highlights on YouTube, there's some funky stuff you'll be seeing. Dudes holding hands while they like basically be towing a line. I don't even know the rules. It's like, it looks like rugby meets like some sort of like tag.
Interesting.
I'm not sure, but like I've seen a dude get tackled to death. But either way, the third and final nominee for the best shonen category is my personal favorite, probably my favorite manga of the year, Chainsaw Man.
Just from title
it is
alone.
so great. I don't know, you have to watch it. It's just like the demon slaying chainsaw dude.
Okay. It's just Doomslayer.
I can't really describe it much more than that because it's all it is.
Okay, that's fair.
But it's pretty
fair.
fun.
All right, I'll take a look
fun.
at it. I mean, I enjoyed Inferno Cop when Trigger was pulling that out of their ass.
It kind of has pseudo Inferno Cop vibes, but like it's pretty belligerent. I like this show, or I like this manga. I'm so pissed off because Takagi-san already has a full season of manga, and then Kabaddi has announced, it's got a manga or an anime coming out next year.
Yeah.
There has not been an announced Chainsaw Man anime yet. I don't feel like they just are afraid to really pick that up.
Here's what'll happen. It'll be an off-season project for a company that's like, listen, we just got done doing a huge ass project. We don't want to do anything like overly strenuous. Let's just do this.
No, fuck that. I want like Madhouse on it or Trigger or some shit.
Oh
like,
no,
I want like Mappa.
It'll be that company, but it'll be them doing it on like the tightest of budgets. You know what I mean?
Bitch.
I think that's the way it can kind of work for those types of shows.
We'll see.
I think low production values can really enhance a show that is not intentionally funny, but like campy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I expect it'll eventually get picked up in some shape or form. It's only a matter of time.
Okay.
But nah, Chainsaw Man, rooting for that. These Shogakukan manga awards have been going for like 50 plus years or whatever. Actually, 60 something years.
Shogakukan War.
Shogakukan Wars. Yeah. I was looking at the previous winners. There's a lot of like Love is War won it before, Haikyuu, Mob Psycho, Bleach, blah blah. So a lot of cool.
So this is usually like the indicators for what is going to get an anime down the line.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, best of luck to all the nominees, and may the best manga, Chainsaw Man, win. Oh yeah. Oh, I had this great story. I wanted to tell you this for a while because
it's been a while since we chatted. What?
Not a while. All of today. I just been waiting to talk to you today to tell you, since it involves Pokemon.
Okay.
Have you do you know about the Uri Geller thing?
I have no idea what those words are.
Okay, good. Okay, so this involves a man who's been beefing with a Pokemon for 20 years. Okay, so
beefing with them?
Yeah, so the man in question is illusionist / self-proclaimed psychic Uri Geller. And his rival for 2 decades, Pokemon, is Kadabra.
the Pokemon Kadabra.
Yes, the Pokemon Kadabra. Now, the cause of the beef, you ask. Okay, why? Money, probably, but also spoons. Well, specifically the bent ones. So Geller, he's really known for bending spoons with his mind. That's like his marquee thing. And he sued the shit out of Nintendo back in 2000 and asked that Kadabra not be allowed to be put on any Pokemon cards due to the similarity between Kadabra's spoon and himself. And, well, Kadabra's spoon, Kadabra's name to himself.
Okay.
Now, here you're asking, Brando, Uri Geller does not sound like Kadabra.
Right.
Well, it's a Japanese name. The Japanese name, when written out, either sounds like Yungerer or Yungeller.
Oh my god.
Which both sound like Uri Geller.
God damn it.
So he won that lawsuit.
Finally? Just recently?
No. Back in 2000.
Oh, okay.
And so for 20 years now, almost 20 years later, I should say, because it's been 2000 since Kadabra's last appearance on a Pokemon card was in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
But now he just took to Twitter today and was just like, I'm truly sorry for what I did 20 years ago.
What the fuck?
Kids and grown, I'm quoting him quote for quote. I wrote it down. Kids and grown-ups, I am releasing the ban. It's now up to #Nintendo to bring my Kadabra Pokemon card back. It will probably be one of the rarest cards now. Much love and energy to all.
God.
And so he spoke with the gamer in an interview today. This is cutting edge shit, bro. He went on and he was just like, due to the he's like, they're like, why now? You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, due to the tremendous volume of emails I've been receiving, begging me to allow back the Kadabra Jungeller / Jungeller, you know, synonymous. I sent a letter to the chairman of Nintendo to give them permission to relaunch the Uri Geller Kadabra Jungeller worldwide. I'm like, oh my god. So he said that like 2 Nintendo's representatives like picked it up and they're like, now it's back in their hands to take care of the Pokemon card thing. And I don't know, I don't really give a fuck if this is a publicity stunt from Geller or if he's like actually guilty or coming around on this for some reason or whatever the fuck he feels like. All I know is that I could only imagine the complications that this caused the Pokemon TCG for years because Kadabra is right in between Abra and Alakazam.
I mean,
and so
it's not like, sure, I get where you're going at with this, but like, God, what a stupid story.
I know, it's so fucking weird.
It's just like, what? I
looked into it
this world
a little bit briefly, the TCG culture side of it, because I know some motherfuckers that play the game hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked them about it earlier today while I was at work.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, they had to work around it. Basically, they had in some instances, they gave Abra the ability to skip evolving from Kadabra straight into Alakazam.
That's interesting.
And they also, at one point, offered a premium Alakazam card that needed no prior evolutions to play. So, like, they had to work around this douchebag's fucking lawsuit for a long time.
At the same time, it's weird because it's like in the TCG, like, there are many times I would imagine that certain Pokemon just don't show up just because they just don't show up. So it's like it's not hard to work around that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for certain. But but
that's so
for
funny.
Abra and Abra, it's one of those like silly niche things I saw today. I was like, I gotta tell Chris about this.
Yeah, and it's it's shit like that makes you realize, like, man, because Japanese companies were like notorious about that, especially during the 90s and the early aughts. For making stuff that was a reference to a real world thing, and then going a little too hard in terms of not distancing themselves. I mean, JoJo's notorious for it with all the unlicensed band names, and you have Street Fighter with M. Bison being the name for the boxer character because it was supposed to be Mike Bison. And the whole history behind that, and even I don't know if you know this, but Silent Hill, the location for Silent Hill, is based entirely on the movie Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, I think you mentioned,
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird ass shit like that, but like, yeah, it's finally coming full circle, I guess, for the Pokemon company.
It's so weird, bro. Like, honestly, you were completely right. Like, there are some times where, like, Japanese game companies, and definitely in this case, especially with Pokemon designs, like with Kadabra / Jungeller, like, I can make that. I'm not gonna go into it, but like, you should have read his statement on the lawsuit regarding like why he like claimed it was like a satanic / Nazi-esque Pokemon because of the star on Kadabra's head.
Star on the forehead.
He's like, you're defacing my name, my skill with this Nazi fucking Pokemon. Like, It was so funny. Oh my god. Because but it is a little on the nose because if you really look at it, the guy's name is Jungeller, has a spoon, bends it with his mind, and it's like, if my name was Uri Geller and my whole shtick was bending spoons with my mind, I mean, I would be a little salty too. But he is a premium douchebag. Like, absolutely 100% fine grade premium douchebag.
Well, I mean, I think the best example there is the M Bison thing. Like, imagine if they had kept that name, right? And then Balrog, the character we know as Balrog, couldn't show up in Street Fighter ever again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then in 2021 or 22 when Street Fighter 6 gets announced, because
Mike Tyson is
Mike Tyson's like, yeah, you know what, I just did well in my match.
No, do the lisp.
I can't do the lisp. I would end up sounding like somebody completely different. But anyway, the point being is that he looks into the microphone and he's like, I can't think of myself losing, but I really lost myself when I took away Capcom's prize fighter. So now in Street Fighter, he's on stage instead of Ono because Ono's fired, and he's like, for Street Fighter 6, here's M Bison or Mike Bison or whatever.
You can have Bison back. That's what this guy's saying, and I hate how he kind of phrases some of these.
Oh my god, yeah, to make himself sound like God.
Not only to sound benevolent about it, like he's like bequeathing me Kadabra, but it's also the way he always says "my" or like the Yuri Geller thing, like always kind of titling, because like in this phrase, it's like it's all up to Nintendo to bring my Kadabra Pokemon card back. Oh what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, and then after that, the other one says giving them permission to when he wrote the letter. He's like, I wrote a letter giving the chairman of Nintendo permission to relaunch the Yuri Geller Kadabra Young Geller. And I'm like, you sound like a douchebag saying it like that, but all right, we'll take our Pokemon card back.
Hey man. Yeah, that's a good hustle. It's a good hustle you got there. So
it's definitely like, there's definitely publicity involved with this, but
at the same
we were talking about it.
Yuri Geller, you're a douchebag, and I hope
bend a spoon.
Yeah, I hope that your brain hurts from bending spoon your whole life.
I hope that there is a price to pay for your devil art.
But whatever, we're just two douchebags on the internet, so
we are. Oh man,
making fun of what I assume is a 64-year-old magician.
God, how old is Yuri Geller?
Who the fuck cares? Let's move on.
He had like a Twitter post, and like in the thing, he was like releasing a chest full of like Kadabra memorabilia. Oh my god, he's 73. There it is.
Oh man. Now you see it. Now you don't. Oh wait, no, my B. Here it is.
I didn't watch the footage. I just kind of saw.
Oh man. Good lord. Man. That makes me want to find. I had this old video of like. It was like a 90s era video of when Pokemon was like huge. It blew up in the States. And it was all about like how people are like people getting into the trading card game in the first place and what the appeal of it behind. It's so 90s it hurts. And I've never seen it reposted anywhere or like posted on YouTube or shit like that, so I might just dig it up and see if we can make it an Otaku Remix exclusive or something. All right. But it's like,
please do.
It is so 90s. Like the main host is like MC whatever, and it's like mini Guy Fieri more or less. And like the TO that's running the whole thing, his name is Storm. He goes by Storm, and he is like the biggest black dude I've ever seen. And like just like everybody else in this situation are like like maybe a little early on in high school to like younger kids. With this big dude Storm just like overseeing everything.
Oh my god.
It's so weird and it's so 90s and it's so odd in retrospect, but whatever. Fuck you, Yuri Geller.
So he's 73. He must have been 50 at the time of suing Pokemon.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be a boomer move at the time.
Yeah, definitely. Strong boomer vibe.
Strong boomer move.
But yeah, no, that was one of the more fun stories, if I can call it fun, today.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, man.
It's a slight reprieve in this god-awful world.
Besides that, I remember, what was it? Did you ever play The World Ends With You?
Yes, I did. I played it on the mobile version. which was interesting. Square Enix released that when the iPhone something or other came out.
I played it on
and
the DS
about
when it came out.
3 years ago, they stopped updating it. So if you updated your iPhone's iOS 3 years ago, you couldn't play the $15 game that you bought. So that was fun.
That's cool.
But it was nice because, well, let's just talk about World Ends With You, because I wouldn't be surprised if some people don't know about it. It was a 2007 Nintendo DS game. Might even be earlier.
And it launched in the West a year later, so 2008.
Wow, I got it right. Cool. I was just guessing off the top of my head. But yeah, with Tetsuya Nomura being the main character designer, and I forget the band they got or the music producer, but it was on Persona levels of like good quality modern era music.
Loved it. Yeah.
And its story was okay. Nothing super out there, but like I think it kind of towed that line between the new age goth crowd along with the traditional anime storyline of when we're friends we can do it and shit like that. So like it was nothing like it was nothing spellbounding, but I think the localization was tight enough that it kind of worked out. And it kind of gained a cult following on the Nintendo DS. The only big hiccup of the DS being that the gameplay was kind of heavily reliant on the dual screen factor, and that was kind of make or break for a lot of people at the time. Mm-hmm. I personally only played it on the mobile version. I actually found a copy of the DS version later on, but I just never played it. But I know a lot of people, similar to like how Star Fox Zero, when that came out, some people loved it, some people hate it just because of the gimmick of the gameplay.
I was pissed that they forced it on me though.
Exactly, and that's what pissed people off, is that like
because like you can take the lateral movement away, you can take the horizontal movement. It's such a weird function, but you in Zero for a specific instance of this, you can take away the horizontal motion controls.
I'm not going to go too much about Zero, because at the end of the day, you needed what they gave you for how they designed the game. You needed what they gave you. You had to play it that way, not just because they told you to, but because they designed it that way. Like the 3D dog fighting doesn't work without gyroscope. It just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But that being said, returning to World Ends With You, similarly, the game was just designed around this partner passing mechanic, and the mobile version really worked around it without changing the story at all. So that was really nice. And now I assume you're bringing it up because after only hearing about it since then from the Kingdom Hearts Dream Drops Distance, because there was a world that was Normal Heroes based in that, we are getting an anime.
That too. Yeah.
And a sequel.
Yes. Yeah. There's an anime. No, you're good. The anime is coming out next spring, which is cool. Yeah. The new game is inspiring, I believe. I think the anime. Let me think. The World Ends With You. I'll have to double check. I'm not sure if the new game or the old game is inspiring the anime, but I know that an anime is coming next spring. But I also know that there's a new game, Neo: The World Ends With You.
Yeah.
That's coming out. I don't know when. I know it was announced pretty recently. And there are 2 trailers, English and Japanese. So I'll have to go ahead and look into that. As far as I don't think it denotates any sort of date, though.
Yeah.
I think that it's expected to launch probably, if I had to guess, sometime next year. All I know is that it's supposed to feature characters from the Kingdom Hearts game.
What?
In this one. Probably to tie that loop up.
What? Okay, that's weird.
It's just a small fun fact that I saw that I think someone probably pulled that up like a.
Which character? I don't care. If we learned anything from Kingdom Hearts 3, it's that I don't care about Kingdom Hearts canon anymore.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Even then, like, the anime look, the teaser that they gave for the anime looks great. It really captures the, game's art design really well. So hopefully they can mesh that well with everything. But like that teaser was everything it needed to show. It just showed that the quality is really good. Voice actors are still on point, and that they still have all the music rights, so they can still make everything sound cool and great. I think this will be a great. I think this will be a great way to experience that world without having to play the game, because the gameplay is so secondary for that experience that I think the anime can just supplement that. Not supplement, excuse me. Just replace that entirely. But who knows? Maybe they'll kind of mess it up like they did with Danganronpa, because that Danganronpa anime is trash compared to the games. So
yeah, that's what I've heard.
But then again, Danganronpa is a visual novel, so I don't fucking know.
I digress. Well, do you have anything else you want to mention this week? I mean, I can talk about the anime I've been watching.
You know what? Speaking of visual novels and video games, I was playing something almost offensively anime today, and a couple days ago, which was 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
That's right. The RTS, right?
The RTS game by Vanillaware, the guys behind Dragon's Dogma and shit like that. And what is there to say?
That's always good to hear.
It's weird because I'm glad I did a second look at it before we recorded, because it seems like it's going to be a game that's following a bunch of different characters, similar to how Odin Sphere did. But the as opposed to where Odin Sphere was like 4 different storylines that converge, this one is very clearly like, I think it's like 13 characters that are all experiencing the same storyline, but it's being told out of order and from their different perspectives, and there are just certain characters that are just so much more interesting than others. Especially like the first 2 are just generic anime protagonist and generic female protagonist. Like, that is it. And the fact that the RTS factor of it is like so sporadic and like so brief makes it so that half the game is you walking around just going from more or less cutscene, not even cutscene, going from like dialogue moment to dialogue moment. It reminds me a lot of the beginning of most of the Persona series, although I think the Persona series has a little more production value just because they have the 3D models and camera angles, whereas it's Vanillaware. They do 2D, beautiful 2D artwork, but it's still like kind of static 2D artwork, and like they animate slightly, but there's still just a bunch of characters standing around like doing pre-canned animations as they're talking to one another, and you start recognizing those animations as the 50th line of dialogue comes out from them within the last 2 minutes. So like the dialogue moments can be really tedious after a while if the information or the plot going on is not immediately interesting. And so I'm gonna say that if you were interested in buying this game, first of all, it's only on PS4, which is the worst part about this whole thing. I like PS4, I enjoyed my time with it, but it's a goddamn RTS. It's basically half RTS, half visual novel. I would have rather had this on my Switch. I really would have rather had this on my Switch, and it could have run it just fine.
You mean just for the mobile element of it, or why?
Yeah, because it's such a slow-paced game that like having to sit up properly the entire time as characters are like going through so much dialogue is just kind of tedious. Like you've seen me at the old household playing games that I do not give a fuck about. Like I am just like sprawled out like a goddamn amorphous blob, like trying to become one with the couch.
Yes.
And here my setup is more of like a traditional gamer setup where you have a chair and you sit properly and stuff like that, because I want decent back support. But like I don't know. I think this game should have been on the Switch as well, but it was probably supported by Sony somehow, and so that's how they got the exclusivity rights. But yeah, so unfortunately it is on the PS4 only. Even then, it would have been nice for it to be on the PC or something like that. But I will say that if you can get it for like $40 or less, because right now it's sitting at $60, although it might still be on sale for the Cyber Monday sales. If you can get it for $40 or less, I'd say it's a decent price. There are at least enough characters that I'm going to continue it, and I'm going to look into it more. And it has a lot of references to stuff like War of the Worlds, which is kind of fun. And of course, it's Vanillaware, so the artwork looks beautiful. But it's just like, there are just so many moments that I have to pause the game and be like, really,
I'm a
man?
fan of Vanillaware, and like when you mentioned it, 13 Sentinels, I didn't even heard of it before like you were playing it, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know they had a new game.
Yeah.
And like I'd played Odin Sphere, I'd played Dragon's Crown, like much more action orientated, much more similar to each other as products than they are to 13 Sentinels is to either of those. Except for the art style and the narrative. Like, I think that the writing probably stays... I mean, there's very, very, very loose writing in Dragon's Crown, mostly because it's made to be sort of an arcade side-scrolling fighter. It's, like, Dragon's Crown is like, based off of D&D. It's, like, meant to be very vague in its storytelling.
Oh, yeah, and that's why it kind of worked really well for Vanillaware, because, like... You know, the fact that it was all pre-canned animations was okay, because the enjoyment from the game was the RPG factors, the dungeon crawling aspect, and the fact that you could play co-op. I think you could play co-op online as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was back in the PS3 days, the Vita days, the 360 days. So it was like just perfect. But you know. Odin Sphere, I think, had a nice legacy because its Vanillaware style was so unique at the time. Because it was like a PS2 game, wasn't it?
It was a PS2 game, and I think the narrative of that game is pretty well written. Like it's passable. It's pretty serviceable melodrama, and it's like I know what I'm getting at this point. Like I mean, it's definitely keyed itself in. I've experienced a lot of media that is like it. But I think you're right. The art style probably carried it over a little bit, plus the fun gameplay, you know.
Yeah, but like here now, the story and the gameplay are in like two different boxes entirely, and there are games that do that. Like Persona does that. It has its gameplay in one box and its stories in another. But like I would say it balances them really well between both the stellar performances throughout the entire cast, everything they try to do to get around the issues, such as like bringing character portraits to the foreground while the 3D models act in the background, giving you kind of like this dynamic situation that you're supposed to be paying attention to at all points. And they really try their best to overcome the fact that they don't have good cutscenes for these massive amounts of dialogue. And Vanillaware's product doesn't have that. It is, you know, the voice acting is fine. I recognize a lot of the cast and they're doing a good job. And they even have the Japanese audio, which is really nice because I know some people are sticklers about that. But like, yeah, the repetition, the repeated use of animation, the endless amounts of dialogue, and the brief moments of RTS between all of those moments are really bringing me down in these first like 3 hours that I've been playing. But that being said, hopefully the RTS factor becomes a much more significant part later on, and that maybe some of the character drama is a bit better later on. There's already one character story, it's the third one, that caught my attention early on, more so because of a character that is handled better than I expect most Japanese publishers to handle them. So we'll see if that continues on. But yeah, for now I'd say it's a lukewarm reception from me. Come back to it once I beat it.
Well, we look forward to that. But yeah. Anything else? I mean, I'm pretty good.
Oh, you started Great Pretender season 2.
Yes,
that was alright.
To that yet,
that's you know, it's Great Pretenders. Honestly, it's like probably one of the better shows we've seen out of this year.
Oh, for sure, love it.
And you know, it's still continuing on. I would say if you liked the first season, watch the second season. And if you haven't seen the first season, first of all, check out our video. We won't link it because we never do. But, check out the page and you can find our video on Great Pretenders. And then check out the season itself, because it's really stellar. It's up there with like B&A in terms of the best anime of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was pretty fucking solid. I mean, I really liked the first season, very concise. And the second one seems like it's going to bring the whole thing to a conclusion.
I don't know. I didn't even look at how many episodes there are, but like, I could see it ending here.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer. It seemed very climactic. But if they continue on beyond that, I would be plenty pleased as long as the quality stays the same. But yeah, I'm looking forward to finally dig into that. I know the full season's been out on Netflix like about a week now. Mm-hmm. So finally set aside some time. I've been watching a lot of non-anime media on Netflix. So That's fair. Yeah. So I'll probably get back to my anime groove on there and get that Great Pretenders knocked out so we can talk about it hopefully soon.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, anything on the horizon for yourself in terms of what to look out for?
No, not too much. I mean, for anime, I'm gonna get some stuff out before the end of the year, content-wise. I'm sure we'll talk about the year in its totality as we enter into the final month of this wonderful, blessed year that is 2020. And maybe we'll talk about the best animes of the year. I've got a few other things in the pipe for y'all. Don't worry. Some other little videos here or there that are being written out and hopefully will be recorded in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. And they may or may not have to do with buffalo testicles. I don't know. Brando said he was looking hard for them.
I was hunting them down, those Colorado oysters or Denver oysters or whatever the fudge they call them out there when I was in Colorado recently, and was not able to eat them. So they are very...
I still wonder if it's like a tourist joke.
No, bro. Like
they're
just talking about
they
it
get
seriously.
All these dumbass Easterners to go around town asking to eat testicles, and everybody just goes, "Oh, sorry, you just missed them. I know you wanted them so bad. I know you wanted them so much in your mouth, but
we did. We wanted those fried nuts real bad. Your mouth. At least to try them, How many people could say you had fried buffalo nuts in your mouth? But it's like, I just I'm just sad I didn't get to try it. But besides that, my trip to Denver was fantastic. With the exception of the nuts I did not get to eat.
Always disappointing.
Always. But there's always a next time.
There's always next time. There's always more time for nuts in our lives.
Yeah. I'll definitely make time, and I'll fly back out there, and I will get those nuts. Mm-hmm. No one's gonna stop me.
All right. So on that terrible joke, if you want to follow us on Twitter, we have a Twitter at the Otaku Remix on twitter.com. We also have an Instagram with the same username, I assume.
Yep, Otaku Remix Podcast or Otaku Remix, I believe. All will be linked in the doobly-doo below, probably. And if not, just look up the Otaku Remix. That is probably 90% chance you'll find it.
Cool. And you know what? If anybody gets to this point here, we've been thinking about publishing the podcast on different platforms as well. So tell us what you prefer to listen to your podcasts on, because that might help us. Yeah.
If you've gotten this far, thank you again greatly for finishing the entirety of this podcast. But also, if you guys are aware of any other forms, besides, Google Podcasts / I know this is like on the iTunes Play Store. There's a section for podcasts. We'll see if we can get them uploaded on there. But if there's a preferable platform, I know there's a bunch of other places to put podcasts up to, but wherever you listen to them, if you are listening to them, which you are doing right now potentially, let us know in the comments down below, and we would love to help source our stuff out there to make it more convenient for you.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I think that's been a good podcast today.
I think so too.
Okay. Alrighty, y'all. Well, thank you so much for your time, and have a good rest of your week.
Yeah. Have a good day. Have a good life, guys. We'll see you next time.